it gives me great pleasure to introduce Vaageesan. So Vaageesan is part of our Ganit Manthan program. He is 11 turning 12 this year. He is from Chennai, and Vaageesan basically loves everything. So he has varied interests. He loves history, geography, linguistics, coding, music, math. Needless to say, he loves public speaking. He loves poetry. He loves Pokemon, Minecraft, Discord, and so on and so forth. So he is fascinated about a lot of things, and he loves learning basically. I need to mention a couple of things before I hand it over to Vaageesan. So Vaageesan got an honorable mention in the Linguistics Olympiad at international level this year. So that's a very hard nut to crack, the Linguistics Olympiad. In case some of you did not know that there is an Olympiad on linguistics, you can check it out. And he also won the first prize in Geography B at the Asia Pacific level. I didn't know that there is a Geography B, like a spelling bee contest. And if you want more details, I'm sure you will get it over the internet. He is an active member in our Ganit Manthan class, the Kaprekar batch, and he was also part of the Epsilon India Camp 2021, which is a camp for students who are highly passionate about mathematics. So that's in short about Vaageesan. Vaageesan, over to you. You're on mute, Vaageesan.
Thank you, sir, for your kind introduction. Hello all, this is Vaageesan and I'm going to present about Lucid Linguistics. So first, let's look at let's think about, is linguistics similar as learning languages? Let's find out. So first, let's look at what exactly is learning a language. When we learn a language, we usually do speaking, reading, listening, and writing. And also, like when we start learning the words. Then we learn to and the sounds and the alphabet, and then learn to put them together into sentences, and then start communicating in a language. Okay, now let's look at what exactly is linguistics. So linguistics is basically a scientific study based on logic, and linguistics does not need to learning languages to happen and to be learned. And linguistics is rather a systematic study of sounds, words, sentences, and where we dissect the language into its basic components like these. Okay, let's look at the different areas of linguistics. Here is a chart showing all of them. Let's move on to the innermost circle, phonetics. Phonetics is a study of speech. Phonetic is let's take the word cat. The vowel inside the word is a, and a is pronounced in the front of the mouth, and it's not pronounced like a or o or a. So yes. So now let's look at another type of linguistics. It's phonology. Let's take an example of phonology. So let's take the words cat and cot. So what's different? There's only one sound which is a distinct sounds and not the same forms of the same sound. This is called as phonology, and it's the study of the sound structure of languages. Okay, now let's move on to the purple circle, morphology. Let's take an example of morphology. Let's have the word activation. This is none other than the word act plus 3 suffixes, if plus 8 plus shan. So as you can see in the bottom. And so the next, and so it is the study of the structure of languages, the word structure. Syntax is even different. So let's take two sentences in two languages. I go to school and मैं school जाता हूँ. So in both of these, the word order is different. So if we literally translate both to English, it is I go to school and I school go. So what happens is that both the languages have different sentence structures. So syntax is the study of sentence formation and structure. So let's move on to the orange circle, semantics. So let's take an example. So we usually go to school. So when we go to school, and so when we hear the word school, we usually visualize a classroom, a blackboard, and so on, based on the experiences we have had in the school. This is semantics. It's the study of meanings, the literal meanings. When we hear a word, what we think of, that's the meaning. Okay, so the last circle, the yellow one, is pragmatics. So pragmatics is the study of meanings with context. Let's take an example. Let's say I say that I was a busy bee. But saying that I was a busy bee does not mean that I have wings and I can sting. So it means I was as busy as a bee. Do you get it? So there are 6 areas of linguistics, as you can see here. Okay, but we have not still learned what are the purposes of learning linguistics. Let's move on. So why do we study linguistics? The first thing is to understand what's going on in their mind when they are speaking a language, and what's going on in their mind when they're learning a language. So we need to understand how people acquire and learn a language. So that's one aspect. The second aspect is to understand the intricacies of the world languages and get fascinated by it and understand them and appreciate them. And the final thing is that to understand how languages change over time. This is also something very important. The English language may change in the future, so we need to take care of this. So now let's move on to the practical applications of linguistics. So how is linguistics applied? So let's look at the first thing. So linguistics has made people decipher even ancient languages like the hieroglyphs, which is actually which actually represents the Egyptian language, and so they were able to understand the Egyptian language. Another thing, and they also could understand the language and found that it was similar to Arabic, which is spoken in Egypt today. Let's move on. So linguistics can also help people with speech problems, because first speech sounds are actually just phonetics. So linguistics will definitely help them cure their speech problems. Linguistics can also help us understand the history and culture and the evolution. One example is that the Tamil people had actually traveled to Korea, and we can also, there are also linguistic similarities. Then we can also translate if we are good at linguistics. One example is the visit of the Chinese president in Mahabalipuram sometime in recent years. So there were interpreters who were sitting next to both the president translating the languages like Chinese and Hindi. Okay, last but not the least is something you have in your day-to-day life, natural language processing. This has actually helped the creation of Google Assistant, Alexa, Cortana, and Siri, and even the text to speech and speech to text recognition softwares. And this has also been able to make robots speak the language by making models of the language structures, and so they were able to make conversational linguistics. Now, it is not compulsory for you to know a lot of languages to do linguistics. So, in order to do that, like I have created a made up language called the Vichari language. And so, so the language is also named after the Vichar Vatika. Okay, so this is the first think about the puzzle. And so the puzzle is Ro is mother, Roro is maternal grandmother, and Faro is paternal grandmother, and what's paternal grandfather? Okay, let me give you the solution. So we know Ro is mother, and Roro is mother's mother. Because Ro is repeated twice, so it has to be mother, mother. And it also can express the concept of a maternal grandmother. So Faro is, we know it has two parts, Fa and Ro, and we already know Ro is mother. And the thing that connects paternal grandmother with mother is father. So we can deduce Fa is father. So the paternal grandfather, which is father, father, has to be Fafa. You all got it right. Okay, let's try another puzzle. Here are some numbers in the Vichari language. So, and you have to understand you can understand the structure of the numbers, and you can answer these questions. I'll give you 1 minute. Okay, so let's look at the answer. So we know 1 is V and 10 is day. And we also know 20 is po day. So po day is po plus day, and 10 is actually the and so po has to be some number which gives a relationship between 10 and 20. So po has to be 2, and the prefix to 10 has to be multiplication. So let's look at the next number. So we had 11, and 11 is Devi, and so Devi is 10 1, as we can see here. So any number coming after 1 has to be addition. Now we see another one. 32 is Mude Po. So 32 is actually we know it is something 10 and 2, and we know that the suffix is addition and the prefix is multiplication. So we can deduce mu as 3, as mu de po is 3 10 2, and it's 3 times 10 plus 2. So now let's look at the solution of the problems we have. So we know mu de is 3 times 10, so it is 30. Depo is 10 plus 2 actually, and it's 12. And these numbers in Vichari are 21 is actually a po de V, so it is 2 times 10 plus 1, 2, 10, 1. So it's 4 Devi. The same way we can substitute 1 with 3 and we get 4 day more, 23. Okay, here's another problem you can try. So Ko is house, Hoko is hospital, Kona is family member, and Chaco is school. So try these translations and time will be 1 minute. Yeah, time up. So now let's look at the solution. So let's move on. So we know Ko is house and Hoko is hospital. So what can Hoko be? So what can Ho be? So Ho is actually sick. The same way we can do for Kona. And so Kona equals to Ko plus relationship between family person and house. So Na has to be person. The same way we can try Chaco. So as it's the relationship between house and school. So this is the vocabulary we have. So we know Ko is house, Na is person, Ho is sick, and Cha is learning. So let's look at the translation. So first, student. Student can be explained simplest as a learning person. So it's Jana. B, doctor is a hospital person, like you have Hoko and Na, and so it has to be Hoko Na. So let's look at the translations from Vichari to English. So A is actually Hona, and when we translate Hona, so we have a patient as it's a sick person, and the same way we can translate Chakona. Chakona can be is Chako plus Na, school person, or not to be confused with Cha plus Kona, which is a learning family member. So Chakona is a school a teacher. So now that you have solved a lot of problems, I'm going to solve one for you. So this is the puzzle, and so let's start solving them. So we already have some known vocabulary, so we can construct the words we already did in the previous problem. So we can mark all those words. Now we have the compound words here. So first we know Ro is mother, so let's cancel that out because we need to find the unknown words. So then Fa is father, so we don't have it alone, but we have Fa, so we can cancel. No, yeah, we have Ko. So Ko is house, so we can cancel that out, marking this, followed by Ho and sick, then Hokon, Chako and dog school, then Hokona and doctor, then Hoko and hospital, then Chana and student, and Fafa and paternal grandfather. I think we have got all of these words right and we have mapped them. So let's look at what we don't know so we can solve those. So we don't know the meaning of ki, ma, and li. So we know, so let's attack the word ma. So let's attack this part of the problem. So ma, puzzle. So ma is goes to, and the simplest sentence is hokona hokoma, and the last word of the sentence, which is ma, is the only missing word, and here goes to is again the only missing word. So we can cancel that out. The same way we can do it for Lee. This is the only missing word in both of them. So we can cancel that out. The same way it's Gi comes to, and it's the only missing word here. So let's cancel that out. We are done. And the only other thing we don't know is the grammar. So let's try to figure out the grammar. We may see that you may see that all the verbs are coming in the end, right? Ma and Gi. So we can say that all the verbs come in the end, and also the subject. So first let's take the first sentence. We have ro, then li chako. So this is the subject and object. So we can deduce the word order is subject, object, verb, and then we also have some adjectives. So we see that li chako directly maps to old school. So we can say that adjectives describe the word they precede. Okay, so here is one problem, one question regarding the puzzle. So we have all our grammar and vocabulary here, which will help us. So let's take this. Sick old maternal grandmother comes to the old hospital. So just like Fafa is paternal grandfather and Fa is father, so Ro is mother and Ro is maternal grandmother. So this is the only word not there in this vocabulary. So using that, we can also like use the meanings of these words, and so we'll just check, put the map the meanings directly. So sick is ho, old is li, maternal grandmother is roro, comes is gi, and old is li, and hospital is hoko. So now let's put it together. Holy roro giri hoko. But this does not sound like Vichari. So we need to let's do subject object verb. So holy roro is the subject, li hoko is the object, and gi is the verb. So we get holy roro li hoko gi. Yes, we did it. So let's move to the next slide. Okay, so let's look at exactly what some of the important things we learned. So linguistics can be learned without learning languages. Linguistics is a study based on logic, and it is. I hope you start trying linguistics. And if you love the session, here are some opportunities you can use. So we have, you can attend the Panini Linguistics Olympiad. So the Olympiad is there in all three levels, from India level to the Asia level to the world level. So you can try that. And you can also find a lot of puzzles and resources in the website of the Panini Linguistics Olympiad or the PLO. So you can try those. They are the ones from the past PLOs. And also you can check these YouTube channels, Native Lang Focus, and Kidnap. So let's move on. So if we can collaborate, you can email me at vaageesan.surendran@gmail.com. So I hope you enjoyed the session and liked the presentation. So thank you. If you have any queries and doubts, you may raise your hand, please.
Thank you, Vaageesan, for that amazing presentation. For the first time in my life, I could experience what it means to create a language. Right? I mean, we get a language for free that somebody has created and sell them. Not somebody, which may have evolved over a period of time, but then there have been so many linguists in each of these languages, right? Who created the structure, who put a very good frame to it, and that is why we are able to use all of them for free. So I could see how much of effort they would have put in, especially in the last part when you did that translation, word to word, and then you went to the grammar structure. So that that is something that we cannot miss out. It has to go both translation as well as the grammar structure. So it was a wonderful presentation. Thank you, Vaageesan. And let's see the questions that have come up. So starting with Adrit, and anyone else who has a question may please raise your hand. Adrit.
Yes, sir. What I wanted to ask Vaageesan is, how did he learn so many languages so quickly?
Like me?
Can I just add on to something that Adrit said? Adrit, maybe we should ask a question prior to that. How many languages do you know? Right? And then how did he learn? Yes, Vaageesan.
So simply the answer is 2. So actually, I'm fluent in only 2 languages, like my mother tongue and English. So I'm not fluent in like the other languages. I may know like little bit of each and kind of, yeah. So
Okay.
do you have any other extra questions?
No, not exactly. Thanks
Okay,
a lot, Vaageesan.
Adrit, Vaageesan, you said you know a little bit about other languages. So can you elaborate what is that little bit, in terms of understanding a language? Is it speaking, writing, reading, and how many different languages do you know in terms of those little bits?
Okay. So in those little bits, like some languages, like I'm like, even though I can't speak it or read it like fully, like I may like understand like exactly how it works. Like sometimes I understand like that, and sometimes like I may automatically like know words in other languages even without me learning them. For example, I may know lots of Korean words if I know like some amount of Chinese, and if I know like some amount of Hindi or Sanskrit, I'll know a lot of Thai words. So actually, like that, and so like I can so I also have a coin collection, and like I saw many like kind of and where like Korea borrowed from China, borrowed words from China, so I could easily like map them. So like I knew like little bit of them. So that was one thing, and another thing that like I know to like read and like read the writing systems of many lots of languages. Actually, like I actually no one can know all the Chinese characters, but I know like to some reasonable extent, and other than that, like I know various mm, like it starts from English, Spanish. So I'll have to count a lot. So English, Spanish, Polish, Czech, Slovak, Serbian, Hungarian, Russian, Latvian, Greek, Turkish, Albanian, Persian, Arabic, then Punjabi, Sindhi, then Marathi, Gujarati, Kannada, Telugu, Malayalam, Tamil, Bengali, Hindi, then Burmese, Thai, Lao, Indonesian, like little bit of Japanese, like a reasonable amount of Chinese, then Korean, then yeah, I I think
That's it? Only
yeah.
these many?
Yeah.
So that's so wonderful, Vaageesan. I bet you cannot say all these languages in one breath. And if you do that, maybe you cannot name these languages in one breath, right? So that's really amazing to see how you
And
thought
actually,
of it.
like
Go ahead.
like I checked the web watch. I checked the chats, and it says like, do you know anything about Arabic? So actually, like I can like read what's written here, like, but I may not know the meaning. So like so what is like written here is like shukran, and I think it's the source for the Hindi shukriya. So yeah.
Shukran, probably. Yeah, that's great. That's great, Vaageesan. Amazing. So looks like there are no other raised hands. So let me just add one question. And if anyone else has any questions, please do a raise hand. So Vaageesan, all this love for language, it with your coin collection? Is that how it started?
It has started like so. The coin collection was like one of the sources, and actually it made me do a lot of. I so analyzed the coins linguistically rather than just having it as a collection. I used it as an opportunity for linguistics. So what I did is that let's say I had one coin from Taiwan, and I read what was written in Chinese, and it told like is these many years. So it told like a certain number of years. Then I calculated it, and then I saw the date of the Chinese Revolution. So I saw interesting things like that.
I see. Okay. And is that how it started? That's my question.
Like that was one of the things like where it started, but actually in the computer, like there is an app called character map. So I was also like interested in exploring everything in the computer, so I took the character map app, and so that made me a fascination to read and write all this so many symbols. So like I so that's where it exactly started.
Very interesting. I had a coin collection, and I would just count the money and be happy for how much ever money I had. Wish I could go further than that. All right. So Anupama, question.
Yes, sir. To Vaageesan, have you ever tried making a conlang then?
What did you what did
Have
she
you
say?
ever tried making a constructed language?
No. So this was like the first time I tried, but I have tried, but like I immediately stopped. But this was like the first time I really made one.
Okay, thank you. It's a little complicated.
It is really hard to make one.
Thank you.
So how much time did it take for you to make this Vichari language, Vaageesan?
Like totally, it must have taken an hour.
In 1 hour, you made this language.
In 1 hour, I could make this much grammar and vocabulary, and
Wow.
yes.
Okay. That's really cool. That's really cool, Vaageesan. So Vaageesan, there is one last question before we conclude the session. Do you have any role model, any hero when it comes to linguistics?
I don't have anything like specifically, but I have some specific role models. So my first role model is actually like Wikipedia. I browse a lot of Wikipedia on linguistics, and yes, so that's one of the kind of role models. And also I watched some YouTube channels on linguistics. So that's what I'll actually they are
All
very
right.
interesting.
All right. And what's your plan ahead in terms of learning languages? Where do you want to go ahead with it?
I don't know.
You just enjoy learning languages, right?
Yeah, I just enjoy.
Yeah, beautiful. All right. So I think we can take a pause here. Thank you so much, Vaageesan. We could see your passion for language, and it was really amazing how you brought the idea of logic to learning languages. Because at least when I was in school and college, I never thought that you can learn a language using logic, because language and logic seem to me like on opposite on opposite directions. So you threw that fascinating aspect open to us. So thank you so much for that. And we could see how much effort you have taken to assimilate all these, to collate all these information that you had in your mind about languages. That was a really well made presentation. Thank you so much.